take my time to do this is because I think the best possible idea to solve a very big problem might be in this room, and one of you might have it. And so my intention in being here is to share my own story, the work I've done, and the way I did it, in the hopes that it will bring that forward in you, whatever that dream or that passion is or that problem that you see in the world that you think you can help solve. And for me, my journey as a social entrepreneur did start when I was actually very young. This picture for me, I don't know how clear it is for you guys, but it's a picture that captures the kind of inequity in the world, which I remember the first time that I was really touched by that. I was only 5 years old. My mom's from India, my dad's from East Africa, and I went with my family for a trip. And I remember we landed into the Bombay airport, and when you come out of the Bombay airport, it is almost exactly like this. You see the high buildings in the far distance, and then you're driving through slums and slums and slums and slums to get there. And there were children coming to the windows, pretty much my own age, asking for money. And I remember in that entire taxi ride at 5 years old just crying the whole way home. And I didn't know at that time what that meant for me or for my life. And it's something that I have spent a lot of time understanding and reconciling, which is, why is it that I was so lucky and privileged to be born here? Why is it that my parents came here and then I had the great education and had a chance to do all the things I've had a chance to do? But beyond the question of why, and I don't know if you guys noticed, but I'm having a baby who's coming into the world through me in December, so he's coming in a few weeks. And he's got all these privileges too. But the other side of that is, what's the responsibility conferred to us? And I think for me, that's really where that question came to rest, which is, I don't know why I was born in this situation, but what I can think about is, what can I do with it? And with the privilege and the education and the opportunities that I've had. And my journey as a social entrepreneur, or building things to try to solve problems, began when I was 16. So the first one I ever did was with my role model, who's my dad, and we built a free health clinic in this little town in Texas that I'm from. And that experience, the most important thing it taught me is that it's really not that hard. So whatever idea it is that you have, a lot of times the barriers between us and pursuing a vision to make the world better is just our own beliefs that we can't, or that it's too complicated, or there's too much paperwork, or we're going to have to raise the money, or how are we going to get the funding? But when we start putting one foot in front of the other with dedication and persistence, that's what I realized. Filling out all those forms and setting up my first incorporation, it was pretty much the same as doing my homework. It really wasn't that different. And it was like a good realization at 16. Then my next venture came when I was actually an undergrad, and I did one out of Stanford called Free at Last. We built what became a national model program for substance abuse, HIV and AIDS, and addiction treatment for African Americans and Latinos. And that one is a program that serves 3,000 people a year. So does the first one, actually. It still serves like 3,000 people a year. And in that one, I started exploring a lot of how to use not just nonprofit structures, but business structures. And we did economic development projects, and we built housing and all kinds of services. And I was 21. And the thing that I can tell you that was the most powerful tool of being 21 is that you don't know that something's impossible. You just don't know. And we had an idea that was in a community, an African American, a Latino community, the community's own members could heal itself. And the co-founders of that organization with me were both recovering addicts and alcoholics who had been to prison, who had been to jail. And at that time in the world of substance abuse treatment, the whole belief was you had to have experts and outsiders that came into communities and fixed them. Or you had to take people out of their communities and make them better. But you know what? When you're 21 years old, you don't know that you're supposed to believe all that stuff. And when you think you see the problem differently and you see a solution and you just go for it, what we ended up building became a national model program for the fact that actually communities could heal from within. And we got $20 million in special investments into East Palo Alto. We built all these facilities, and they're still there, helping people. And for me, I started thinking, wow, this is cool. And I started to see how the market and how business models could be used to create change. And that's when I came to Haas, and I got my MBA. And I wanted that time to think and to kind of evolve on that idea. And so really that is kind of what culminated for me is this what I call sort of my theory of change, or at least what I believe right now. And when I came out of Haas, I think I came out with this idea. And it was really the idea that the best situation you can create is if you can use market forces themselves to create social change. Because you transcend the need for donations and contributions and donors, and there's certain problems in the world that will always be solved through those things. But what if you could create a profit-making business that drives itself and is actually creating good in the process? What if you could do that? Then you don't have to go out and raise money. You don't have to go out and build donors. Instead, you build customers. And as you create customers and as you create revenue, you solve a social problem. Is that possible? Can we do that? Can it happen? And when I left Haas, the company I built, World of Good, which is now thriving and helping people in 55 countries around the world, was built on this model. And what I believe is that, yes, we can do that. And the way we can do that is first, you have to have informed markets, which in the case of World of Good, what we were aiming to do is to build a company that helped alleviate poverty in the developing world by selling fair trade and sustainable goods in the U.S. But we wanted to build it at a much larger scale and bring together lots of organizations from around the world. And what we did is we focused on finding informed customers. So people in the U.S. who cared about these issues, who wanted sustainable products, green products, and who wanted to see things made the right ways. And then you bring in the entrepreneurs. And the entrepreneurs, like you guys, are the ones that come up with innovative ways to do things. We innovated supply chains. We used technology. We found better ways to bring those products to the U.S., new designs of those products. And then we were able to aggregate the products from 55 countries around the world, and we built a big online marketplace of those products. And then we also worked and built a wholesale division that works with Hallmark and with Disney. And we created a distribution system. And then the other part that we did is we created a nonprofit which focused on standards. And the reason that's so important is if I tell you this product is fair trade or that it's helping a community, or if you invent a green or a clean technology and you want to help make the world greener, then what you have to have is clear standards so that as other people start to enter that market and other competitors come in, it structures the market and it makes the entire market lift to solve that problem, right? So in our case, we were focused on creating sustainable and ethical supply chains. We got informed consumers. We created entrepreneurial and new products that brought those products to them. And we had clear standards that said the products had to be ethically sourced, people had to be paid fair wages. And that condition, what happens is the bigger the market gets, the more companies enter, and you get an environment of what I call inspired competition. People competing to actually solve a problem in the way that they build their business. And now, in that world of inspired competition, we can create such powerful enterprises. So think of the fact that now some of you in the room are going to invent a brand new solar technology. And that solar technology may be the way that we suddenly eliminate the need for gas. Someone in this room may have an idea of how to create a business that actually solves the problem of human trafficking. What if you could track every single person on the earth, but in a way that was respectful of their privacy? You could solve so many problems. And I think one of the other most powerful things right now, And what I think controls the future of social enterprise is the emergent new technologies that are in the world right now. 6 billion mobile phones. Most every community in the world is now wired. Alternative technologies for energy. These things hold the promise to change the world in ways that we couldn't even imagine. And today, I think the day is all about opening your mind up, believing in what you can do, and really seeing that the possibilities are limitless. And what you are capable of is something you don't even know yet. And I wish you good luck in finding whatever that thing is that you're going to do to make the world a little more just